So tell me, how can I help you in the short time that we have today?
Okay, the short time I got questions for you. My children, of course, is like try to act a fool for me. Now, what happened is, do you know that I'm on the first page still?
Let's assume you've got your SAM registration. Now, you said your company does fingerprint and second chance housing.
Yes.
All right. Um, so go ahead. So now you've got your SAM registration. Now what?
Now what is how do I go to the next step about applying for those grants and those funding that's out there for my business? Because I don't know where to, I haven't finished reading your book. I'm gonna read it. I'm gonna continue reading it
Uh
to
huh.
see if those steps apply to my business, like fingerprinting, which is a level 2 fingerprinting,
Okay.
which the government has to have in order to do what they do. And the housing is comes in. People always need housing, so that's where I'm at now.
All right. So again, now remember this. One of the things that I do is I teach people how to win contracts, not get grants. So that grants is a separate issue.
Okay,
I do have
maybe.
some websites in the book that reference, where you can go to start looking for grants. But I mean, that's very simple, grants.gov. And, those are steps that you could be doing right now. Like, and, a lot of people want to jump in and get registered on SAM, but there's other steps that you could be doing in the process to learn about your market and who are the people that you should be targeting. Even when it comes to grants, you need to know who's giving out those grants, right? So you can go to grants.gov today and start searching for grants for what you want to do. When it comes to housing, I know, like, for example, where I'm at right now, presently, I have, properties and stuff is in Clewiston, Florida, and that's, considered rural housing. So rural, they have like the USDA does funding for housing in our area. So, but again, you have to know that stuff about the areas that you want to work in. So, based on looking at grants, who's giving out the types of grants that you need?
Okay.
Right. See, and so you can't answer that question. So those
Oh
are
yeah.
things that you need to find out
Okay.
first. Let's find out, you know, first of all, obviously, if you're looking at housing, there's several places online on grants.gov that tell you about housing grants. Even though I don't teach grants, I have written grants in the past. I just don't teach it to people. But it's the same process. Who is actually issuing the grants? What are the requirements of that grant? The grants are have very specific narrow criteria, but what I like about them is it is because it is specific and narrow, you can meet the objective. So it tells you exactly it's a point scoring system, and based on checking these boxes, you can get so many points per question, per section, per response. So that's the beauty of grants for me, is that if I know what they're asking for on the grant, then I mean you can go out and put together that information or bring someone along that helps you increase your score or meet those point criteria. But again, going back to, let's look at some of the basics. Who is issuing the types of grants that you want? Do you have a grant response that you're looking at? And I would be more inclined to say, hey, Eric, I have a grant in front of me, right, that I'm looking at. It's asking me for X, Y, Z, A, B, C. How do I meet that objective? How do I meet that criteria? That's where, it would come along, would be very helpful to talk to me or someone, like myself. At that point is when you actually have something in front of you that you can go through, you've read, and maybe it seems confusing or there's something you don't understand. That's when I think
Okay.
it'd be very helpful to come to me. Like the SAM registration stuff is pretty, straightforward. A lot of people can do that. A lot of people have gone through that process. So, if someone's were looking on your screen, they could pretty much, help you walk through that. In fact, SAM, you could go on the SAM helpline and call them, and they could probably walk you right through it. To be honest with you,
Okay.
I have, and I put that phone number on one of the websites. But yeah, you can go through, call the SAM help desk, and I think it's fsd.gov, I believe is the website. I'll check it. Yeah, it's fsd.gov, Federal Service Desk. You can go right there, and from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., you can do a live chat session and someone can go ahead and walk you through that. A lot of people get caught up on that Sam, but right now, what I want to do, because again, I really want to help people succeed. I want to help people start winning contracts. I want to help people accomplish their objectives. I'm looking, two or three steps above, a bit
Okay.
past Sam. So now, okay, you've got Sam. Now what do we do? Now you should be identifying who are the agencies that are actually issuing grants for the types of services that you want to provide, and that could be FEMA. I don't know if maybe FEMA is offering that, but at the same time, you know what? Do not do not close the doors to looking at contracts to offer the same services.
Okay. Okay.
Okay?
And yes, I never really thought about contracts. I'm thinking contracts and grants are, in the same family,
No,
not that they are separate,
no,
but,
totally
they
separate.
are separate.
Yeah, but don't one of my clients right now that I'm working with presently as a consultant, I was looking at some projects for them, and I ran across projects where they were asking for housing for homeless.
Hmm.
And so that's kind of, and so to me, that falls along with what you're talking about, second chance housing. So,
Yes.
you could have easily, well, let me take away the word easily. You could have actually went out and found places for them to reside in the form of a contract as opposed to a grant.
Yes.
You understand?
Bigger picture. Yeah, man. Yeah, I
Yes. So
see.
don't so don't close. The don't do not totally throw out the idea of doing contracts for the same services. A lot of people want to go to grants, but grants are a one-time thing. Sometimes they're just to accomplish an objective, whereas contracts are ongoing. They're continuous. There's history behind them, and if you become the incumbent and start doing a good job, you'll kind of stay in that loop, and that's something that will be ongoing, more of a permanent type solution. Whereas a
Yeah.
grant is just like a one-time gig. You get the grant, and then maybe it goes away. Depends on who's in office. Depends on who's the party. Depend
Hmm. Yeah.
on whether or not they're funding that today. But contracts, those are more stable. They're more consistent across the board. They're in long term.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's
Yeah.
so let's do so. I would encourage you to do two things. One is, go to FSD, go to the Federal Service Desk, let them walk you through helping get your SAM registration completed, and then two is start doing some research on, the grants, and then also, find out about some of the contracts and the opportunities that exist within the actual two areas that you want to focus on.
Okay. Listen, when you go to this SAM to get the contract where it tells you to register,
Hmm.
it puts you into like a system, and those people that are actually looking for someone that fits my criteria for those contracts. I remember that the immigration people had closed their office and they was looking, scattering around for people to do the stuff. So my thing is, would they contact me, like Department of Education? They contact me and say these are the things that are out there. Once you put
No.
your information in the system, that
So
doesn't happen. You
So,
actually have
so
to do
no,
the
you have to do business development.
the
That happens, but it's very rare, far and in between. It's not something that you can bank on. Yes, they do market research, and sometimes they'll reach out to, people that have these particular NAICS codes, but you can't, to be successful in this, you can't be passive. You have to actually actively do business development and market research.
okay
Yeah.
market
So
research.
yeah, you have to do those things. You have to go after those people, find out who they are, and reach out to them.
Okay.
All right. So
All
I've got
right.
to run. I hope I was able to answer some questions for you on
You
the short
are.
time that we have.
Thank, thank you so much.
Hey,
Thank you so
no,
much
no
for this
problem. Thank you. I
opportunity.
hope to talk to you soon when you give me some good news.
All right. All
Okay.
right. Take it easy.
Thanks. Take
Thank
care.
you.